Ever find yourself daydreaming about ditching the 9 to 5? Like, way ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Imagine the freedom to travel, chase your passions, or just, I don't know, not work.
Right.
That's the allure of FIRE, right?
Yeah, financial independence, retire early.
Financial independence, retire early, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to figure out how to make that dream a reality.
Okay.
So we've got a ton of articles, resources, all about FIRE. We're going to break down everything from the core principles to different approaches, and then those first steps, those baby steps to actually make this happen.
Okay, sounds good.
So what exactly is FIRE? Is it just another get-rich-quick scheme?
Not at all, no.
Okay.
FIRE is about, strategically designing a life where you have the financial freedom to work or not.
Right.
And often years before that traditional retirement age.
Yeah.
It's really about taking control of your finances to the point where work becomes optional, not a necessity.
It's about having options.
Yeah,
Not necessarily about never clocking in again, but having the freedom to decide what work looks like for you.
Exactly.
And when you want to do it.
Yeah, and it really, FIRE is about aligning your life with what you value.
I love that.
It's a personal journey, right? It's not one size fits all.
Okay.
And that's what makes it so interesting, because there are different approaches,
Right.
each with their own set of principles and strategies.
I've heard these approaches called like FIRE flavors. Like, is there a FIRE flavor for someone who wants to live minimally versus someone who enjoys the finer things?
Absolutely, yeah. You've got lean FIRE. Think of that as the minimalist's path to financial freedom.
Okay.
They embrace frugality, reducing their expenses to the bare minimum,
Right.
which means they need a smaller nest egg to reach FIRE.
So lean FIRE is about living simply, intentionally, really being mindful of where that money's going.
Yes.
But that level of frugality, that might not be for everyone. What about, for those of us who, we like to enjoy life, right? We want those avocado toasts. We're not ready to give those up.
Sure. So that's where, fat FIRE comes in.
Okay.
This approach allows for a more comfortable lifestyle in retirement.
Yeah.
You're still saving aggressively, but you're giving yourself permission to enjoy life's pleasures
Okay.
along the way and in retirement.
So with fat FIRE, you might have a larger FIRE number then,
Right.
meaning you're going to have to accumulate more wealth to support that lifestyle.
Exactly.
But it's about finding that balance, right?
Yes.
Between enjoying life now and securing your future.
Now imagine you're passionate about your work, but you just crave more flexibility.
Okay.
That's where barista FIRE comes in.
Okay.
You build up a solid nest egg and then, supplement with part-time work or passion projects.
Okay.
Bring you joy and a little extra cash.
Barista FIRE sounds like the ideal scenario for someone who wants to retire from the 9 to 5, but isn't quite ready to stop working completely. Finding fulfilling work on your own terms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're all about putting in the work up front and then letting your investments do the heavy lifting,
Right.
Coast FIRE might be for you.
Okay.
You save aggressively early on, aiming for a point where your investments are projected to reach your FIRE number by your target retirement age, even if you ease up on saving later.
So you're front-loading your efforts,
Yes.
kind of like that final push at the end of a race.
Exactly.
You're aiming to hit that coasting speed where your investments are growing steadily, even if you're not contributing as much.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's like putting your financial future on autopilot. Now, I know all this talk of FIRE flavors can be exciting, but before you run off to find your perfect match, let's talk about the first crucial step, figuring out if FIRE is even attainable.
It's all about figuring out that magic number, right?
Yes.
The amount of money you need to accumulate to support your lifestyle,
Right.
without relying on that paycheck.
Exactly. That's your FIRE number, your ticket to financial freedom.
Okay.
And a common rule of thumb is to save 25 to 30 times your annual living expenses.
Okay, so if you want to live on, let's say, $40,000 a year,
Right.
you'd need to have a cool million or 1.2 million saved and invested.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, that number sounds daunting, especially when you're just starting out.
It is, but, it's all about perspective. Remember, FIRE is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
It's about making, intentional choices today to create a brighter tomorrow.
And that brings us to the next crucial step in the FIRE journey. And I have a feeling this is the one that most people find a bit uncomfortable. Okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
It's that S word in personal finance.
Yeah.
Spending.
Right.
We can't talk about FIRE without addressing it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The big elephant in the room.
But here's the thing. It's not about deprivation.
Okay.
Like it's not about living like a monk.
Right.
It's about aligning your spending with your values and making conscious choices about where your money's going.
I love that framing, aligning spending with values. Because what really matters to you might not be a priority for someone else. It's about like identifying what brings you joy, what
Yes.
brings you fulfillment,
Yes.
and then designing your spending around those things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might be passionate about travel, having those experiences, or maybe you love supporting local businesses.
Right.
The key is to understand what those priorities are.
Yeah.
And then, make conscious spending choices
Right.
that support that.
Okay.
And that might mean cutting back in other areas.
Okay.
Like, do you really need all those streaming services?
Ouch. Those add up.
Right. Or maybe it's cooking at home more
Yeah.
instead of, ordering takeout all the time.
Right.
It's about those little everyday choices
Right.
that, they can free up cash flow
Right.
over time.
And speaking of those small choices, one of the articles we have here talks about, it's called lifestyle inflation. And that really resonated with me because it's this thing that happens as your income grows, right? You get a raise,
Right.
you get a promotion,
Yeah.
and suddenly,
You need a new car.
yeah, you need that nicer car, the bigger apartment, those more extravagant vacations.
Okay.
It's a trap.
Right.
It's a trap, and it can sabotage your FIRE goals. Imagine this. You get a $5,000 raise,
Okay.
but you upgrade your lifestyle, and you only end up with an extra $50 a month in your pocket.
Wow.
That's 10 years of raises
Right.
wasted
Wow.
on lifestyle inflation.
That's a powerful way to put it into perspective.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that, even those small incremental increases in spending can really add up over time.
That's it. It's about being mindful of those lifestyle choices.
Right.
And making sure that they're in line with your goals,
Okay.
long term.
Yeah. Now, we talk about the importance of mindful spending, but let's flip the script and talk about how to boost your income.
Yes. While cutting back is crucial, increasing what you're bringing in can really add fuel to that fire. So besides the obvious climbing the corporate ladder, maybe negotiating a raise, what are some avenues that people can explore?
Well, the gig economy is booming. I mean, side hustles,
Yeah.
a great way to
Yeah.
leverage your skills,
Yes.
to earn extra money. Think freelancing,
Right.
consulting, teaching online courses,
Right.
driving for a rideshare company, starting an e-commerce business.
Yeah, there's so many options these days.
Endless possibilities.
What I love about side hustles is that they can really align with your passions right now.
Absolutely.
So it makes that extra income even more rewarding.
Exactly.
And you can experiment with different career paths
Yes.
or test out those entrepreneurial ventures, but without quitting your day job.
Exactly. And as that income grows, remember the golden rule of FIRE. Resist lifestyle inflation.
Yes,
Channel those earnings directly into investments.
exactly.
To accelerate your progress.
So we've talked about spending.
Yeah.
We've talked about income.
Yes.
Now it's time for the fun part, putting that money to work. Let's talk investing.
Okay.
This is the part that, I don't know, this is the part that always kind of feels a little intimidating.
Right. Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be,
Yeah,
especially with all the different options and strategies.
right. There's that.
But it doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
The FIRE community generally leans towards kind of a long-term,
Right.
low-cost,
Okay.
and diversified approach.
And one of the most popular vehicles for FIRE enthusiasts is index funds.
Yes.
Can you explain why those are so popular?
Yeah, imagine you could invest in a basket of, hundreds of different stocks
Yeah.
with a single purchase.
Wow. Okay.
That's essentially what an index fund is.
Okay.
It tracks a specific market index,
Hmm.
like, the S&P 500, for example.
Okay.
And it gives you that instant diversification.
So instead of trying to pick stocks, which can be risky, you're investing in the overall performance of the market.
Exactly. And, because index funds are passively managed,
Right.
they typically have lower fees than actively managed funds.
Right. Right.
And this is huge for FIRE folks
Right.
because those fees can really eat into your returns.
Yeah. And speaking of returns, let's talk about compound interest.
Ah, yes, compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world.
I know.
It's basically earning interest
Right.
on your interest,
Okay.
which means that your money is growing exponentially
Right.
over time.
Okay.
So let's say you invest $500 a month
Okay.
in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund.
Right.
and it earns, an average annual return of 7%.
Okay.
In 25 years,
Yeah.
that could grow to over $1 million.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I know.
That's amazing. $1 million. That really highlights the importance of starting early, even if it's a small amount.
That's it, yeah.
Letting compound interest do its thing. It's like planting a seed, and it's just growing into a tree over time.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why it's so important to start investing as early as you can,
Right.
even with small amounts.
Right.
Time is your greatest ally
Yeah.
when it comes to, compound growth.
Yeah.
However, investing in the market does come with inherent risks.
Right.
Right.
Because markets, they're unpredictable. There are going to be times of economic boom, and there are going to be periods of downturn. So how do you stay the course when your portfolio is like maybe taking a dip?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a little scary, right? When you're, your money's on the line. So how do you handle the highs and lows?
That's where you got to remember, fire is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
It's about, having that long-term perspective
Mhm.
and not letting those short-term market fluctuations derail your whole plan.
Yeah, easier said than done, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't panic sell when the market dips.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about tuning out the noise, Like just stick to your strategy and trust that, historically the market trends upwards over the long term.
Right.
So ride out those dips, stay the course. Over time, you'll probably come out ahead.
It's about that long-term perspective. It's not getting caught up in those daily, little fluctuations. We talked about flexibility earlier.
Right.
And, life throws curveballs, goals change. How do you adjust when those unexpected things pop up?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of fire. It's adaptable.
Right.
One of those fire flavors, you're not locked in.
Okay.
Like, let's say you're deep into your lean fire journey.
Okay.
Then you decide, hey, I want to start a family.
Right. Kids are great,
Hmm.
but not exactly, budget friendly.
Right, exactly. Kids, they come with a whole new set of financial considerations. You might need to adjust that fire number,
Yeah.
maybe transition to a less restrictive approach like fat fire, or maybe, explore some part-time work options.
All right. To accommodate,
Keep those expenses.
it's not about beating yourself up if life throws those curveballs. It's about adjusting.
Right, exactly, exactly. Life's all about adapting and evolving.
Right.
And your fire plan should be too. Review it, look at it, reassess your goals. Make sure it still makes sense for what's going on in your life.
We've covered a lot today, from the fire number to spending to investing. But let's take a step back for a second.
Okay.
Talk about the why,
Yeah.
because it's more than just the numbers, right?
It is. It is. It's about reclaiming your time.
Okay.
It's about the freedom to design a life that reflects, what matters to you, whether it's spending more time with family, going after those passions you put on hold, or just, just enjoying waking up without an alarm.
It's about freedom, like having the freedom to choose how you spend your time. And that's a powerful thing, breaking free from that traditional work, consume, retire.
Exactly. It's taking control so you can live life on your own terms.
That's awesome. Now, I know this can feel like a lot, especially when you're just starting out.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you'd offer someone who's feeling inspired, but maybe a little unsure where to begin?
Don't wait for the perfect moment
Okay.
or try to figure everything out at once.
Right.
Just start
Oh,
today. Even if it's just putting aside a small amount of money every month,
yeah.
or reading a book about fire, or, just checking out different investment options.
Right.
Just take that first step. It might feel small,
Yeah.
but you'll be amazed. Those small actions, they add up.
They snowball.
They do over time.
Small steps, consistent action, a whole lot of fire in your belly.
That's it.
That's the recipe. And who knows, maybe sooner than you think, you'll be living that fire